You guys know I am a huge fan of multiple streams of income, of taking your teachers pay teachers resources and having different ways to make money with things that you have already created. And today is very special because we are talking about a great way to host your TPT resources on an outside platform called Squarespace, which is an all-in-one platform where you can have your website and a blog and your storefront and even an email list. Man, I honestly did not know all Squarespace could do until this episode, and I am so excited for you to hear it. I interview one of my in real life friends, Katie Lepore from Emberlin Company. She is a Squarespace web designer and founder of Emberlin, where she helps female entrepreneurs launch strategic, personality-packed websites that actually convert. A former corporate marketer with nearly a decade of experience, she now specializes in helping women grow their businesses online with strategic websites that work for them while they enjoy time with their families. She talks about all the things that Squarespace can do for you, how it compares with other platforms like WordPress, if you should be blogging, if you should be hosting a store on Squarespace, all the things. So it's a really exciting episode. Let's give it a listen. Welcome back, everyone, to the Teacher Business School podcast. I am here today with a very special guest, Katie from Emberlin Company, and she is a Squarespace website designer and expert. And I am so excited to chat with her. Everything you need to know about a teacher website. So welcome, Katie. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I love to talk websites. So
yes, I am super excited because I get questions all the time from teachers about when is the best time to start a website? Which one should I use? Because there are so many options and it's really confusing for teachers who are obviously not website experts. So I'm glad you're here.
Yes, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and how you got started with Squarespace.
So I am, like she said, Katie Lepore. I founded Emberlin in 2023, back when I was actually still working in corporate marketing. So I worked in corporate marketing for nearly a decade for a $1 billion global IT brand and a construction company that was bringing in over $250 million a year. So I really specialize in the strategy side of things, helping my clients actually bring in more revenue for their business. So I merge strategy and beauty, and that is my whole goal with websites.
I love that. That's crazy. And so when did you kind of leave the corporate world to get into building Squarespace websites for small businesses?
So I did not leave my 9 to 5 until this year, actually, back in February. So I worked for nearly 2 years doing both, juggling both things. All in that time, I actually became a mom too. So it was a lot on my plate.
Very cool. So I definitely want to talk about like your services and all of that. But before we get into that, can you just kind of talk to us about the teacher business owner who maybe has a teachers pay teacher store? They're thinking about starting a website. When is the best time to do that? And what should they be thinking about as far as their first website?
I think starting on Teachers Pay Teachers is the right move because you are actually testing whether or not people actually want your resources to buy. So before you dive into building your own website, this kind of proves out your system, what works, what doesn't. But I think after you've been on successfully selling for maybe a few months, 6 months, if you've been selling successfully over that time and tested your resources, I think that could be a great time for you just to dive into building your own website.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too, because sometimes I feel like teachers, we are overachievers and we like to do all the things at once. And so a lot of people that start with me and they're starting their TPT store, they're also like, and I want a website and I want to start blogging and this and that. I'm like, whoa, let's do one thing at a time. So I really like how you said, let's get on TPT and make sure that the things you're creating are going to sell before you branch out to try to sell your resources on another platform like your own website.
Yes, that's really because smart. TPT is a proven place, right? Like people sell hundreds of thousands of dollars like you on TPT. So it's a great place to test what works and what doesn't, and maybe iterate on your own resources that just help you sell a little bit better.
That's true. And they already have traffic. You're not having to bring in your own traffic. Yeah, I always say start with TPT because it's low barrier to entry. It's very easy to start. It's very inexpensive. It's just $59 a year to sell on TPT. So it's very inexpensive. And then branch out to other things like an email list, a website, all of that. Now, when it comes to choosing a website, so many options. For years and years, teachers were told that WordPress was the place to go. And I have my website on WordPress, and I will be 100% honest, I do not like it. It is not user friendly. I have to pay someone continually to keep it up, to do the back end stuff. I don't even know what it's called, like the plugins and yada yada. It's very confusing and not user friendly. And it bothers me that I can't just go in and like make tweaks myself. So I know that WordPress is good for some things. Tell us about Squarespace and kind of how that compares with WordPress.
Yes. So people love WordPress because it's technically an open source platform. I know that sounds confusing, but what it means is that you just truly own every aspect about it. Now, Squarespace, you do own your website, but it is managed by Squarespace. So there is someone that at Squarespace that you can actually talk to, which is really helpful. Someone in New York City, you can literally chat with them right there and get help on your website. That's not necessarily a thing on WordPress. You don't have to have a developer to help you maintain it, like you were mentioning. You are able to do this all on your own. And one amazing thing about Squarespace too is that it's an all-in-one platform. So with WordPress, you might have to be adding plugins on top to add your shop like WooCommerce, or you're adding things on top of your space website. With Squarespace, you just decide that you want to have a shop or a blog, and it's all built right there inside. It all works the same. You're not having to learn any kind of new technology with it because it all behaves the same. So that's one real big advantage. Also, with like the scalability of it, you can start super simple with just a homepage and about page in your shop. And then over time, you could add a membership or a course or start your email list right there in Squarespace. So that does have its advantage as well.
That is nice because, yeah, like you said, I have to have a plugin for my WooCommerce, and then plugins for, even having like payment plans within my WooCommerce. That's another plugin. So
Yes.
it would be so nice to have everything in one place. Is it easy to actually design like the pages? Is it drag and drop, or how does that work?
Yes, Squarespace is a drag and drop platform. So it's built on a grid, but that means you can literally just click and drag things all around, make them different sizes. One also amazing thing, you can start with a template and you can duplicate sections or save them across your site and use them on other pages, and then just change out the content inside. So it makes building really easy. Also, with Squarespace being such an easy to build platform, there are hundreds of thousands of tutorial videos on YouTube that can help you walk you through how to do anything virtually on Squarespace. So that is a big advantage too.
That helps a ton.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
love that. Okay, so I know with WordPress, they are like the SEO, supposedly the SEO like go-to. And if those who are listening don't know what SEO means, it's search engine optimization, which would be important, especially if you're blogging or if you want your TPT resources that you list on your own website to be found organically when someone is like searching high school math resources, they find it on your website. Tell me how Squarespace compares with WordPress on SEO stuff.
It is kind of a myth that there is one better than the other, especially in 2025. This did used to be the case because platforms had to catch up, but that is not how Google or Bing or any of the search engines actually rank people anymore. It is ranked by the content on your website. One of the things that people think helps their website, like being on WordPress, is actually speed. So the speed of your website is a really big factor to Google. So how fast your images load, how fast your content on your website loads. Other platforms have caught up with this and started to optimize how fast things load on their websites. This is also influenced by you and what the size of files that you upload. You do need to be conscious and aware of those things. However, it's not that WordPress is better. It's just that you need to be aware of how SEO works a little bit. You don't need a ton of knowledge. You just kind of need to know the basics. Blogging on Squarespace would be a really helpful thing with SEO as well, because it helps not only tell the search engines what your website is even about, they actually reward you for blogging, even in 2025, which is kind of crazy. One thing that it really search engines love is new content, which is why it likes blogs. It doesn't necessarily like blogs more than it likes your regular pages. What it likes is the new content. So if you feed the search engine new content, it feels like it has new things to serve people. So you can start a blog that is related to your shop, and that will help you start to populate higher on Google.
That's really interesting. And so you do feel like blogging, even in 2025, is a good use of your time to get more eyeballs on your content, on Teachers Pay Teachers resources?
It is a great way to get ahead faster for sure. SEO is a long game.
Yeah.
People don't like to hear that,
Yeah.
but it is true. No one should promise you that they can get you on first page within a certain amount of time. That is just not how it works. If it all worked like that, everybody would be on page one. What you can do is if you blog, that allows you to start to gain traction faster. And yes, blogging is important in 2025. Even I blog.
Same.
It's not my favorite activity, but I do it for my
Yeah.
business.
Well, I will say I don't do it. Someone on my team just takes my podcast and puts them in blog form.
Yes, and
I
that's
used to blog, don't like it, but
yes, but that's an amazing way to use content that you're already creating. Even teachers could feel a little intimidated about creating social content. But if they're starting with a blog post, they like writing, they know they're going to be creating content on their blog, they can take little snippets of their blog posts and turn that into social media content, which would really help them across multiple platforms, kind of reduce the decision fatigue in just getting out there and starting to talk about their shop in general. Because I don't know if you know this, but recently Google started being able to crawl Instagram. So it is super helpful to still be using the same content, the same keywords that you're using on Instagram as you are on your website.
I did not know that. That's really interesting. Awesome. And I do feel like teachers struggle once they're ready to expand beyond teachers pay teachers. They're like, okay, well, what do I do? Do I do social media? Do I do a blog? Do I do a website? And I love that you said, like, just start with a blog and then you have pieces to repurpose. If you're emailing your list, you can talk about what you put in your blog. If you're putting it on social media, take pieces from your blog. So it can kind of be like the cornerstone content, right?
Yes, I love to start with the long form piece of content. It is the meatiest and it is where you are spending the most brain power. So it makes complete sense to diffuse it out. I think what people that aren't marketers by trade forget is that you in your marketing need to talk about the same thing over and over again. And it is boring for us, but it is not boring for the user because they aren't reading everything that you do. They're not in your world like you think they are. So they might consume your email, but a completely different type of person might just be consuming your Instagram. So even if they are seeing a same theme of information, you're not just copying and pasting it. You're just iterating on what you've already written.
I love that. I feel like this could turn into like a blogging episode, which I love, but I do want to get back to Squarespace because I do also want to ask you about, so we know that it's the same as WordPress as far as like SEO goes, which is fabulous because I'm so glad that we don't have to use WordPress anymore. If I could move my website off of WordPress, I would do it in a heartbeat, but I can't. It's fine. So we know about SEO, but what about having a shop, having a storefront on Squarespace? So a lot of teachers, they want to take the resources they've listed on Teachers Pay Teachers and sell them on their own website. So they're not having to deal with the TPT fees. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the shop is right there within Squarespace. It is as simple as just turning it on and starting to populate your actual digital products on there. So after you turn the store on, you just set up your financials, like you need to put your card information, attach your bank, all the normal things. But then you just start uploading your products just like you do on TPT. So you'll add your images that are attached, you'll add your titles, your descriptions, and set all of those. So you can have an actual shop page where you can set categories and tags for things so it's easily searchable. And I would make sure to do that because you don't want it to be overwhelming. So if you, for example, sell math resources and science resources, you wouldn't want them to be intermingled necessarily. Or if they are, you want them to be searchable. So having categories or tags allows people to actually search what they're looking for. And then within each product page itself, that's where you can add those keywords that help you populate on Google. So you want to be sure that your title is really important in how you name it and what it is. Be very clear in what it is. And then your product description, that's where you can add a few more keywords too.
I love that. And if you're on Teachers Pay Teachers and you followed me, we already have super keyword rich titles and descriptions. So it should be a copy paste situation.
That's amazing.
and we already have categories on Teachers Pay Teachers, so you could bring those categories over.
Yes.
One thing that's really cool about selling on your own website, if you're going to be using Pinterest, I talked to a Pinterest expert a couple of months ago, and she said that when you're pinning from your own website versus like your Teachers Pay Teacher store, Pinterest will actually push your website if you have claimed that on your account than like a Teachers Pay Teachers domain. So you may get more traffic if you're using Pinterest to your website resources versus if you're just pinning to Teachers Pay Teachers. And you can do both.
Right.
It's just another way to get more eyeballs, more sales on your stuff. So I love that.
And from your website too, people can pin your images to Pinterest too. So that's really helpful as well because it will link over specifically to your website as well. So yes, that is driving traffic too. I'm sure you've talked about this in that episode, but Pinterest is a search engine, not a social platform. So that is why it actually wants to populate your website because you are the owner of it. So that's what helps boost that there.
Such a smart way to get just more eyeballs.
Right.
Another stream of income. Okay, so it's good for SEO and blogging. It's good for having a storefront. I did want to ask about the storefront piece. These are all digital downloads. So is it pretty easy to how does it store the actual product?
So you will upload it and it will deliver it via email on the back end of Squarespace. So it is not you having to deliver it yourself. It is pretty easy and self-explanatory. But again, there are tons of tutorial videos on how to do this within Squarespace. But yes, it is no like manual delivery. It is going to deliver it for you. You just have to upload the resource in there.
Awesome. That makes things super simple. I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say a teacher is thinking, all right, I'm ready for my own website. What are some essential things on their website if they are a Teachers Pay Teacher seller that they should be thinking about as far as like homepage or about or shop?
Yeah, so I think if you want to start simple, you definitely need a homepage. That needs to be super clear about who you are and what you sell. Also, the thing people leave out a lot of times is the transformation that you're going to provide them. And I know that sounds simple, or maybe it sounds intimidating to you, but you are selling something to someone and building trust in 2025 with online products. People are overwhelmed. So you do want to be sure that you are providing a transformation even with your teacher resources. I would also consider having an about page. This is also a trust building thing, right? People want to see who they're buying from, even if they're buying a $10 digital product or a $2,000 service. They still want to feel like they know you in some way and that you are building trust. So on that page, though, I want to be clear that we're not only talking about us. Yes, you're talking about you and your teacher story and how you got here, but you're also talking about them and why it's important for them and how you can help them specifically. And then your shop page. I think just making sure that that is easy to navigate. It's organized with those categories like you can bring over from TPT. And I really think those are the three key pieces that you would need to start with in order to have a website that could convert for you. Obviously, over time, you can build out some more things like a contact page if you wanted people to be able to talk to you directly. And I think one thing eventually you could add is start growing your email list. So Squarespace specifically also offers email marketing within Squarespace itself, which is really nice for someone that's just starting out with a smaller list. And what you could do is actually activate a pop-up within Squarespace where they could download a free worksheet or a guide or a lesson plan that you're willing to give away for free so that you can collect their email addresses. What that means is that you can actually own that email address. You don't have to rely on the marketplace for you to be able to contact your people.
I did not know that Squarespace did email marketing. That's really cool.
Yes.
I am a big proponent of all TPT sellers having an email list because there's no good way to contact their customers on the TPT platform. It's the best way to find new customers, to contact current customers. So that's really cool that it literally is all in one.
Yeah. And one thing with that too is that you can't capture on TPT people that don't buy.
Right.
So on your website itself, someone might not be ready to buy your resource, but they might want your free thing. Yeah. So if you go ahead and collect their data, meaning their email address right up front, they might not buy from you today, but they might buy from you in 30 days because you sent them emails to nurture them. And you can do that right in Squarespace, which is awesome.
That is really cool. Man, Squarespace is sounding better and better. I'm really excited because I just feel like teachers need a simple solution that's not too tech heavy that they can start by themselves. But then I also want to talk about, the difference between them trying to DIY their website because it is a drag and drop kind of platform, but there's so much more behind website strategy than just how it looks. There's a customer journey that they really need to think about. And when I first started, I tried to DIY my website and it looked terrible. And then I finally paid someone and I should have done it way sooner. Talk to me about, kind of DIYing versus hiring someone like you to just kind of do it for them who has that marketing background and that customer journey in mind.
I didn't say this, but I specifically help women. Mostly, the majority of my clients have DIY'd their website and they are just ready for someone to help them. One thing about the internet now is that everybody says you can DIY your own website, and you can, but that doesn't mean you should. Just because you are a creative person doesn't mean you have the capacity, the bandwidth, the knowledge. And sometimes a lot of maybe perfectionists, they stand in their own way of actually getting it out there because they want it to be perfect. And so maybe they put it up there and they don't share it because they don't love it. Sometimes, even if it is up there, it's kind of hindering your growth because you're not wanting to talk about it because you're like, oh, it's not the best. A lot of women come to me and they know they're ready for a professional website because they've gotten through those frustrations or they've started to recognize those frustrations. Like, I don't like my website, or I tried so hard and it's just not living up to what I want it to be, or it's simply not converting people. And they thought they did a great job, but maybe they just don't understand how to actually get someone to go along that customer journey.
That's so true. And I do feel like, maybe back when, I started in 2017, you could kind of have a DI website that didn't look great, but there weren't that many websites out there for teachers. But now there are so many businesses that have websites, and there are so many professional websites that to really stand out, you need, if you're ready for a website, it needs to look good. If you're going to take the time and energy to build a website, like, go ahead and invest and make sure it looks professional and that it's actually going to bring back that investment. You want a return on your investment.
Yes.
And having an expert to do that for you is just really, really important. I think everyone should read the book Who Not How if you haven't. I am all about letting experts do their area of expertise, and I stay in my zone of genius, which is if you're a TPT seller, that's you are creating the resources because you are an expert in your content area, whatever you teach. But website, business, all of that, that's not your area of expertise. So invest with people who do have that area of expertise. So
yeah, and you're so right. It's just the design and the look of your website builds trust too with people. And when your website maybe isn't living up to what you had wanted it to, they recognize that as well. So that's a good point.
So true. So tell us about your services, because I know you do done for you Squarespace websites.
I have a 2-week website build where it is up to 5 pages, and that is turned around in 2 weeks' time. So it's a fast delivery, but it's called the Signature Site, and it is my favorite thing to do because I take those DIY websites and I turn them around so quickly, and people are always like, "Oh my gosh, it was so fast! I loved that."
And then it's done and off your plate.
It's done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there's no 3-month, 6-month timeline. That can happen with a lot of like WordPress websites specifically, where you're having a developer actually develop it and then you're having a designer design it. There is none of that.
Oh man. Yeah. That's what I went through. Love who I worked with, but WordPress just takes a long time to do all the things it's got to do.
Yes, it takes multiple people and a lot of time.
Oh man. Okay. We're going to get your info at the end to make sure that if our teachers want a Squarespace website, they know exactly where to contact you. But I just want to take a second and talk about your personal story a little bit more. I know you have gone through some personal struggles, and as a female entrepreneur, I talk to a lot of female entrepreneurs who are still in the classroom. Some are single moms, some are barely making it. Do you have any advice or motivational thoughts to give them?
Yeah. So several years ago, many years ago, I left an abusive marriage. Just one day I decided I was done, and I left with nothing but a car. I had no car, no phone, just $900. It was all I had. But that decision was the biggest turning point in my life because it really pushed me to rebuild everything from scratch. And for years and years, I sought that stability, financial stability, emotional stability through my corporate marketing career. But deep inside me was something saying, like, there is something more for me and I don't know what it is. So eventually I started this business in 2023, like I mentioned at the beginning. And what it allowed me to do was actually take that first brave step, right? Like the divorce itself was the first step I took in order to start making changes. And I truly believe had I not done that first small thing, that first step, I wouldn't have be where I am now. And I think you don't have to have gone through something as traumatic as an abusive marriage, but just being able to take that first step, like building your own website and being able to own your own platform, that can start creating a new stream of income for your family. That can be so important.
That's so true. And man, first of all, chills, because I didn't know that part of your story. So thank you for sharing that.
You're
It's
welcome.
so empowering. And this just maybe me, but I kind of felt like when I finally had my own website, like that's when I felt like a real business. I'm like, okay, this is real now. Like, it's not just a side hustle. Like, this is my business. So I do feel like, of course, Teachers Pay Teachers is a real business. And I definitely think teachers should start there. But once you start kind of expanding and you have like your own website or social media or your email list, like, this is not a little side hustle anymore. Like, this is real. And like, you should feel empowered that you are in charge of how much money you make. And it's not just, the hours that you put in is what you get back. You can make money outside of the hours that you're working, which can really feel freeing and exciting. So
definitely. And as you want to grow and scale beyond Teachers Pay Teachers, you can stay on Teachers Pay Teachers and still get more income as you grow your own website and get it out there to sell more on that side of things. You're not having to pay that fee to TPT anymore. So you are creating more income for your family too.
yes. And I love multiple streams of income. It's so important for every business owner. Such a good idea. Well, thank you, Katie. This was awesome. I always ask all of my guests this, and that is, what is one act of generosity that you have done or you plan to do?
So I am hoping to have my first team member maybe later this year, but definitely in 2026. And as I scale and grow my business, one of my favorite things from my corporate days was community service days. And so I want to be able to provide my employees with a community service day quarterly where they can take off and serve the organization that they love in their community. So it's like boots on the ground where they live, even if they're virtual and not local to me here, but they can still serve an organization that they're passionate about with a day of their time, but a day of my time.
I love that. And I'm going to use that idea. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was always so fun for me. So I love that.
That's really awesome. Awesome. Okay. I'm just so excited for teachers to listen to this episode. I think it has so many valuable nuggets that they are going to love. Tell everyone where they can find you and if they want to work with you and book that signature site with you.
Yeah, so you can find me on my website. It's emberlyn.co, EMBRLYN.co. And then on Instagram, I'm also at emberlynco.
Thank you so much, Katie. All right, guys. This has been awesome. I hope you guys all check out Katie and look into Squarespace if you are ready to expand beyond TPT. And I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.